States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, roll call, please, Mary.
Mr. Bumba?
Here.
Mrs. Head? Here. Mrs. Braille? Here. Mr. Krings?
Here.
Mrs. Medina? Here.
3 more years. Thank you, Marie. We'll start with the student representatives report. Desiree.
Okay, so I shared earlier that DECA is going to ICDC in Atlanta, Georgia, and we're leaving on April 20th, so next Friday. And then state student council will also be like the week following. And then I think COSA has something for state, and then there's also like a lot of testing. So that's most of what's going on right now.
Okay, thank you for your report. Next, we can move on to the minutes.
Okay, I would make a motion that the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of March 12th, 2019 be approved as printed.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of March 12th, 2018 be approved as printed. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Marie, do we have any comments from citizens tonight? No. Okay, thank you. We can move into committee reports. John, Business Services.
Thank you, John. Business Services met on April 2nd, last Monday at 6 p.m., and we had no public comments. Out of the meeting, we had 4 consent agenda items, and anybody want to take home that? Okay, hearing none, we'll start with BS1, which was a food service meal price approval. USDA, correct? They are the ones that basically say that we have to charge a minimum rate based on the percentage of the cost is. So in the past couple of years, we haven't had to raise it because we had fund balance excesses, which we were trying to use up. And now we're to the point where the fund balance is to where it's supposed to be, and we are now having to raise lunch prices. I think it's minimum we can do is 10 cents, and that's basically what they've gone up to. So the committee recommends, and I move that the proposal to increase the following school lunch prices: $2.05 for grades K-5, $2.25 for grades 6-8, $2.45 for grades 9-12, and $3.25 for adults to remain in compliance with federal regulations being approved by the Board of Education. BS2 is a computer purchase for Grant Washington and Woodside Elementary, and this is basically for the teachers and the staff upgrading their computers and desktops in all of their classrooms. So the committee moves, and I recommend that the proposal to purchase 92 HP full desk computers with PDS at a total cost of $49,864 with the funding from the district technology budget be approved by the Board of Education. And BS3 is gymnasium athletic field scoreboards for the Rams. They had to move a little faster on this because of the building project and to the point to where they need to install them in the new gym. So they also had to do the upgrades for the football field, which is outdoors, and then the other, the old original gymnasium. If anybody went in there, that clock is probably as old as the building, close to it, and definitely needs to be replaced. So the committee recommends that I move that proposal to purchase 4 scoreboards for the 2 gymnasiums and 1 scoreboard for the football field at the middle school from National Scoreboard Company at a cost of $26,400 with funding from the district technology budget. We recommend it for approval by the Board of Education. And then our last item was the 2018-19 Lincoln High School trade home selection. We had 2 candidates for the selection, and when we start looking through the candidates, we look at the size of the house, the distance from the high school, and there were a couple other factors as far as the roof pitch and everything else that go into it. And it's determined that the committee recommends that I move that proposal for the trade house committee for the Lincoln High School trades house class to construct a home for John and Carrie Thomas during the 2018-19 school year. We recommend it to the Board of Education. So with that,
So,
for cabinetry over at the Rudolph Elementary. And now that the Vesper students are going back, being combined and moving over to the Rudolph facility, Think Academy. Still Think Academy. They did some custom cabinet work to gain more space and storage in one of the rooms that was a double art and music room, and they're now repurposing the room and using the storage area. And the second update was a copy, my favorite, the copy paper purchase for the district for the quarter, or for half a year, or 2 years. Every 6 months we get paper, a new copy paper box. So that's the update on that. And with that, we have submit the name of our meeting minutes for approval.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the committee meeting minutes of Business Service Committee of April 2nd, 2018. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Thank you, John. Next, we will have Personnel Services. Sandy.
Personnel Services met on April 2nd. We had no public comment. And from that meeting, we have 6 consent agenda items, and they are as follows. Number 1, the committee recommends, and I move to approve the 2 support staff appointments. 2, the committee recommends, and I move to approve the 1 support staff resignation. 3, the committee recommends, and I move to approve Board Policy 163, Opportunities for Development for second reading. This was tabled a month ago, and what we did was we took out the word state in front of state conferences, and we took out the word national instead of in front of national conventions. That was the only difference there. Number 4, the committee recommends, and I move to approve board compensation and expenses for second reading. What we've done there is we had 2 options, and we're going with adding this to the policy for board members. Travel to locations greater than 300 miles away requires prior approval by a majority of board members. This will get you to the Twin Cities. This will get you to Chicago. And if you want to go farther than that, you're going to have to get board approval. 5th, the committee recommends, and I move to approve a wage increase for swim program positions with an effective date of June 1st, 2018, to new rates as follows. Locker room attendant, $7.50 per hour. Lifeguard, $9 per hour. Swim instructor, $1 per hour for the first year. $10. Yeah, okay. Just seniors are paying attention.
Run into a little trouble.
And $10.50 per hour for year 2, and $11 per hour for year 3, and a head guard at $13 per hour. And then 6, the committee recommends, and I move to approve wage increase for the buildings and grounds positions of cleaner to the new rate of $9 per hour, and the summer grounds helpers to the new rate of $10.50 per hour for year 1, and $11 per hour for year 2 and thereafter, with an effective date of June 1st, 2018. Does anybody want anything held out?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve PS1 through PS6. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
And then we had an update for the 2018-19 professional staff hiring update, and we had 11 positions to fill, but I think after tonight, it's not going to be 11 anymore. See, we have an update coming. So with that, I move that the minutes from the April 2nd meeting be approved as printed. Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the meeting minutes of Personnel Services Committee of April 2nd, 2018. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Thank you, Sandy. Next, we'll move on to Educational Services. I believe, Mary, you're going to present this today?
Yes, Ed Services held its regular meeting on Monday, April 2nd. There was 1 consent agenda item. Is there any concerns on that? Questions? Okay, if not, then I would make a motion to approve ES1, which was an adjustment to professional, it was the proposed calendars for 2019-20, 2020-21, and 2020-22 school years, with an adjustment to professional development 3 updates. The first one was Lincoln High School schedule changes. Ron Rasmussen, our principal at Lincoln, explained that changes will be made to the student schedule at Lincoln beginning with the 2018-19 school year. When the high school moved to a trimester scheduling, a 25-30-minute block time on Wednesdays was built into the schedule for the release of students for the purpose of developing staff professional learning community, which is PLC. The PLC time has been a great benefit for staff. In order to better facilitate schedule of traveling teachers, the administration would like Lincoln and Wisconsin Rapids area middle school schedules to be more similar starting next school year. Additionally, the administration believes that moving the intervention and enhancement, or IE time for students from the end of the day to earlier in the day will help reduce some disciplinary concerns that have manifested as a result of the current schedule. Scheduling the IE time toward the end of the day was helpful for athletes needing to leave the building early for contests. However, the benefits of adjusting the schedule outweigh any advantages of maintaining the status quo with it. The administration plans to assign students to the same IE teacher beginning with their freshman year and continuing through their senior year, which should help build and strengthen relationships and provide continuity for students, particularly in the area of academic and career planning. East Junior High have been very successful in using some of their Eagle Time enrichment to allow school clubs to meet, so Lincoln plans to schedule similar opportunities for students on a rotating basis. Students involved in the Pride program in good standing will still have privileges but not allowed to leave the building, and the GPA and credit requirements affiliated with this program are also being increased. PLC time will continue to be built into the schedule, however, rather than have it be on a Wednesday afternoon, it will take place in the morning, and students will report to their first hour class at 8:05 rather than 7:34 a.m. Buses will run as normal, and supervision will be provided for students arriving at the usual time. Wednesday was chosen as the weekday for PLC time because there are often Tuesday athletic competitions that students return from late in the evening, and this will allow additional time on Wednesday mornings to arrive. Also, should more than 3 snow days occur in a school year, it will be possible to make up any statutorial required minutes by having students attend classes beginning at 7:34, and the committee had an opportunity to ask questions concerning the schedule changes. Next, Mr. Rasmussen and our physical education teacher and aquatics director, Natalie Jones, updated us on the LHS pool. They provided an update on changes planned for programming at the Lincoln pool, which will be referred to as the natatorium in the future once renovations have been completed. The purpose of the WRPS Community Swim Program is to provide all community members access to a high-quality, safe, affordable, and family-friendly aquatic experience. Aquatic programming and fees have undergone review. After conducting a community survey, new program suggestions were brought forward to the committee. Any increase in swim activities will be dependent on availability of certified staff. Program feasibility and a potential Sunday through Saturday schedule was shared, along with a comparison of what other school districts are offering for aquatic programming. Current and potential program membership fee structures were reviewed and would include options for a yearly membership, monthly memberships, or as a drop-in or per class fee. Participants would have an ID card to be scanned, which would indicate programs or a type of membership. The new community entrance area to the pool will offer a streamlined, efficient process where guests can check in and staff can easily monitor. In our last update, AP and ACT graduate report was given by Kathy Simmons-Hens. She shared AP and ACT test results from the 2016 school year. A comparison of ACT scores to neighboring districts was also reviewed. AP results for 2016-17 show a steady trend of students taking AP exams. Like the ACT test results, AP results indicate an achievement gap exists in subgroup areas such as race and economically disadvantaged. 184 students are scheduled to take the AP exams in 2017-18. In a comparison of AP exam results and participation rates for WRPS, the state, and other districts was shared. Committee members expressed an interest in learning more about what the AP offerings and approach are at DC Evers and Marshall. And with that, I would make a motion to approve the Ed Services Committee report as printed. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve the meeting minutes of the Educational Services Committee meeting of April 2nd, 2018. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved.
John, before we move on, I know we had talked about at the end of this discussion on the AP, some of the reasons that students weren't taking the AP exams. Well, I went home and I asked my wife to go to, she teaches an AP class, and I asked her what some of the excuses that these kids don't want to get the pass. The two major ones are, one is that they don't think they're going to do very well. The second one is they don't want to spend the time studying. Those are the two issues are the ones that reasons, the most popular reasons she's ever heard of. Why they don't get the pass.
Maybe a little bit of senioritis.
That could be. Or test over this weekend.
Yeah. All right, thank you for the report. Next, we'll move on to agenda referrals, information requests. Does anybody have anything? Okay, then we can move on to the legislative agenda. Ron, what do you have?
Well, the biggest thing was the passage of this school safety in our update. Greg has done a very nice job of updating everything that he gave us a chart of all of the referendum that passed or didn't pass, and then also an update on all of the bills that failed to pass and then bills that were signed into law, which most of them we talked about at the previous meeting. The latest thing, though, was the school safety law that was passed. And, the concern right now from WASB is what does the blueprint really mean in the new school safety law? And the law requires that every school building provide blueprints of each school building and facility to the Office of School Safety and the State Department of Justice and to local law enforcement agencies by July 1, 2018. This requirement has raised some questions with all districts, particularly those with older buildings, actually have the original blueprints. And with districts that don't have copies of those blueprints, you're required to hire an architect or a firm to develop the blueprints. At this time, the DOJ has given no guidelines on it. And so there is, basically a lot of these saying, don't just go run out and get the blueprints right now until we have further information. To be determined actually have to have them.
I think the clarification,
Map, let's do a map.
right, is the difference between a blueprint versus like a schematic.
Right.
You know, as long as it's accurate and it represents fully what the layout of the building is, I don't think they technically mean blueprint, but that's what we're waiting, you know.
Why would Madison want to keep that?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Why would they need it? I mean, local law enforcement, wait one second.
Absolutely.
Why would it sit in an office in Madison? They're not going to get anybody to do it on there.
An awful lot of busy work.
Now they have a new department for that.
Could be.
And then the second part of the report from WASB is basically strong support for school referendum. And this is basically everything that Craig had provided for us. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you for the report, Jim. So we can move on to the bills.
Okay, I would make a motion that the receipts be noted and the bills be paid as printed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, that the receipts are denoted and bills paid as printed in our packet. Can we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayo?
Yes.
Mr. Bembo?
Yes.
Mrs. Heck?
Yes.
Green. Next, we can move into new business. Action item 8, possible action on employee appointments, resignations, and retirement requests.
Well, it was a busy week. I'm coming off from spring break week last week in the HR department. The good news is there's more hires than resignations, so we picked up a little bit. But the first page is actually 2 pages of developments that happened since spring break week. Part A on the listing of the handout that I distributed for board members just prior to the start of the meeting shows appointments. Those are the first section is we have 5 teacher recommendations for the appointment of 5 new teachers. So we've gotten a pretty good head start on the hiring process for our teacher vacancies. I know that that was part of our report for our Personnel Services Committee meeting last week. Sandy had briefly touched upon that. Just a couple of additional details, if I can expand upon that a little bit. We had 11 teacher retirements, and we are going to need to replace all 11 of those positions. In addition to that, we're currently projecting on our staffing scheme the need to add 7 additional professional staff positions for next year. So that's 18 positions right away that need to be filled. As you're going to see in page 2, we already have some resignations, and I know of some additional ones coming, likely to be coming. So I would say right now we're operating at a ballpark around 24 for teaching positions or professional staff positions right now that we're tracking on needing to have filled for next year. And that's before unexpected resignations would happen over the summer. So I think we could easily be in a position of having 30 new professional staff when we start school this fall. So the five positions that you see here for professional staff, the first couple are English positions. We are adding 2 additional English positions with the new staffing configuration at the middle school. That's what these 2 English positions are, 8th grade English teachers. The next, so the first 3 listed here are for our new expanded positions. There are 3 of those 7 that I was just pointing to. And then the second 2 are to fill special ed positions that are vacated due to retirements. Finally then, we have listed at the bottom of the page a recommendation of employment for a new head cook at Grant Elementary School that fills a position that was vacated when we had that head cook move to the head cook position at Lincoln, which was done last week at the committee. And that position was vacated because of the new food service position that we created. So kind of a domino effect for why we have a new hire for a head cook at Grant Elementary School. So that would be the new appointments. I don't know if you want to handle these all at one or handle them individually. Maureen, what are your thoughts? Otherwise, I'll wait before going on to page 2.
Probably the 2 should be held separately.
You mean the professional versus the support?
I move to approve the 5 professional staff appointments as printed.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 5 professional staff appointments as printed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd make a motion to recommend approval of the support the staff appointment.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the support staff appointment as printed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On to page 2 then, as is going to happen, we unfortunately have 3 professional staff resignations that have come forward. The 3 resigning for various different reasons, leaving the area, family, personal, taking different positions. But what's fortunate is that they're coming through early enough that we can get moving with the hiring process for these 3. So the administration does recommend approval of these 3 resignations.
I would make a motion to approve the 3 professional staff resignations as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 3 professional staff resignations. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
I
carries.
just have a question. When is the last day for teachers? Has that been extended?
Yes, because of our last letter day, I don't know, Greg, if you want to talk to that a little bit further.
Yeah, we just did a parent communication and staff follow-up email today. And so is it June 6th will be full day and June 7th will be a half day for students. So June 6th was the half day. So it goes to full day June 6th, the half day June 7th, and of course staff come back June 8th for their last day. That was just communicated. I want to emphasize, however, because there was questions out there, and this is clarified for parents and for staff members as well, no change for high school seniors. So graduation dates, practices, all of the things that people have been planning for since the beginning of the school year, we're going to remain as they were for both River Cities and Lincoln High.
Are you referring to the teachers have the other contracting or the end of school?
No, I just wondered how long it had been extended. So it's extended till June 8th.
Yes, which is just one additional day beyond what it was like then. And then finally, we had a couple of retirement requests that came through from support staff, again with effective date at the end of the school year. So the administration would recommend approval of these retirements.
I'd make a motion to recommend approval of following support staff early retirements as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2 support staff retirement requests. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Ryan. And with that, we can move on to item B, discussion and consideration of employee health insurance plan.
So Dan Shannon and Ryan can certainly feel free to chime in when necessary, but I want an opportunity to kind of take the temperature of the board regarding some exploration of potential, new approaches to how we do our employee health care, health insurance, with the respect of looking at the potential of moving to a self-funded model, or potentially narrow network approach, which would be, cultivating a relationship with a local provider, so to speak, regarding funneling some business in that direction. In addition, one of the pieces that we had tossed around at COA and that I'd like some feedback on is the potential for, a staged-in approach regarding benefits that we could look at making effective for folks hired after date X, July 1st, 2018, as an example, with reference to folks who work less than full-time. And this has been discussed at the board level on a number of occasions, from what I understand. And it may be an excellent time to look at either or both with reference to, our health benefits and the dollars that the district spends for that coverage. It's possible as well that if we, based on your opinions and attitudes, if we explore some different options regarding health insurance with reference to moving to a self-funded model, that those changes may not be necessary with reference to a benefit level. So what I'm wondering is, would you be open to, as a board, to potentially considering some new approaches to how we engage with health insurance and, exploring options? And very clearly, this would be over time. I mean, not looking at making a change necessarily effective July 1, but if we see something we like, we could be primed and ready to make a switch then. For reference, there's no formal discussions transpiring. It's not as though there's something in the hopper. I want to spend our time wisely. So as an administrative team, if we're looking at, if we're, investing time in looking at options, and then we find, well, look, there's really not, board support for moving this direction, doesn't make a lot of sense. And a couple of things that I want to keep in mind as we move forward, and that is the current benefit coverage for our staff members and doing what we can to not devalue that benefit, because I'm very keenly aware, as other superintendents in the area are, that our health insurance package and the benefits that we offer to our staff members is also a recruitment and retention tool. And we don't want to be in a circumstance where we devalue that benefit to any of our employees to such a degree that, we have more resignations as a result of jumping to a different district for better benefits. Our premium cost, which I think is a driver, is one of the highest, if not the highest, in the Valley schools. And whether that's based on circumstance or whether that's based on God only knows what, the issue is when you shop the market with reference to health benefits. I think folks know, if you've been around the block, you know what you're paying. So it's not really possible to go to the market and get a deep change in what that is, because one of the pieces of data you have to share with a third-party administrator or broker is what you're currently paying in premium. So and that's just the status quo. I mean, that's not our choice. So as far as, going to a competitive bidding process, yes, you can do that, but what ends up happening too is, in a short period of time, you kind of angle yourself out of the market, because if you jump enough, there's no one else that's going to bid on you. In addition, you're kind of captive audience, meaning we're paying X number amount per premium, we go to bid, the folks that are bidding know what you're currently paying. Well, that's pretty tough to get a competitive bid, but that's the way the health insurance marketplace works. Which tells me that I think it would behoove us to potentially explore some unique or creative options that hopefully maintain our benefit level for staff. In some cases, maybe even enhance it. In fact, we had a meeting, a very cursory preliminary meeting with a group from Hayes Benefits that talked about a model that's been implemented at Rice Lake, which is a district neighboring the district that I came from, where they've negotiated competitive contracts with certain providers around specific procedures. So you can get a knee replacement, and the knee replacement at these three places where they have contracts are $8,000, whereas if you go to a knee replacement in a traditional sense, now keep in mind this is traditional medicine, we're not sending people to Mexico and stuff like that, but because they have these negotiated contracts, they're at a reduced rate. So that same knee replacement at the local provider or another clinic might be $20,000. And part of that model is driving staff members to those benefits which are covered at 100% versus having to pay your deductible and co-pays and that sort of thing. And I throw that out there just as one potential creative approach in addition to self-insurance. We're large enough as an employer that doing self-insurance might have some potential benefit as a result of not having to, pay for a premium in the traditional market, in the traditional marketplace. Again, that's all couched under the pretense of maintaining and in some cases even enhancing employee benefits. So that's really a long-winded way of saying, we're wondering if you'd be open to us exploring some potential options. And if we do have options on the table that you folks are interested in, we'd certainly engage with staff and employees around, here's what we're kind of tossing around, what do you think? But don't want to go through all of the hoops and dog and pony shows unless there's going to be some attitude around potentially making that change. Not that we have to make a change, but is there interest in exploring options, I guess, is really what it comes down to.
I would think that if we don't explore, we're not doing due diligence, because we've changed carriers multiple times over the years, and they've always been with the intention of saving money. So if there's ways that are out there that we can save money, the only question I would ask, if we were to go self-insured, would you then have a third party that would handle all these claims? Because I don't think we have staff here on site that...
Right. Yeah, and you'd have a third party that handles your claims and does all the billing and so forth, and then you still have what would be considered like a stop loss or a catastrophic loss policy, whether that's $75,000, $100,000 deductible. But basically, the model is that the district shoulders, the vast majority of the burden regarding the upfront healthcare costs. And I think it's possible that you do something along those lines in addition to perhaps looking at some of these more creative or newer techniques with cultivating relationships with organizations that are competitive in their price structure. And I know Aspirus and Marshfield are certainly in the mix regarding that. Having that opportunity to say, well, hey, if you come here for knee replacement, for example, will be this cost versus, the standard cost. So just this latitude to look at potential creative options of ways to save dollars on health insurance but not devalue a benefit just seems like a good move.
I think we're almost going to have to go into that narrow network type of thing if we go down that path, because don't we lose some of these discounts? Now we get a discount whatever carrier we're with because of the size of the carrier. So they negotiate a discount with the providers because of the size of business they bring into that. So if we step back from that, I'm assuming we would have to look at doing some type of arrangement for a narrow network.
Right.
And we've talked about this before, about the possibility of in-house clinic or clinic that we go to. I know at the state convention, I've been to a couple of the breakout sessions where they talk about self-funding. Point put on one, and I'm not sure what Point all they call theirs, but it's kind of like a hybrid of self-funding and trying to keep, like Larry always talks about, keep everybody healthy and get people involved, and basically get paybacks for doing healthy things and that type of thing. But yeah, I agree with John, if we don't do something, we're not doing our job.
And I wonder,
look at that.
is it possible to look at having our own, are we big enough to have our own basic clinic?
Yes.
That employees can come in and bring their children in for an exam or, the basic things that wouldn't require anything referring to a hospital, but just the clinical. I've seen other organizations will have, I don't want to say a walk-in, but, a staff member gets out at 3:30 in the afternoon and they can bring their children in for a physical exam or for whatever it might be after school where it's more convenient. And I'm assuming we must have some place in the district that we have room, especially after this year.
Yeah, in fact, that was part of the conversation that we just had prior to the meeting. We had a 4 o'clock meeting with that group from Hayes, and there are groups that would underwrite or actually fund, like WCA was mentioned, current carrier, which would fund an on-site clinic. The ramifications around what does that look like, who employs that, who operates the clinic, so to speak, and what does that look like? There's some questions that need to get answered there, but absolutely we're large enough to put that in place. And in most cases, in fact, every case that I'm aware of, that comes at zero cost to our employees. So not only does it decrease our potential claims, it also is a cost savings to the district insofar as, and our people, insofar as there's no out-of-pocket cost or no copay, or it doesn't go towards your deductible if you use this on-site clinic. So that's absolutely one possibility, which can be married with a self-insurance approach, which doesn't have to be. So there's a lot of, there's a ton of different options that you have out there regarding things that you may or may not want to take advantage of.
Daunting task.
That's a lot of work.
There's a lot of stuff out there.
Hasn't, since we started HSA, hasn't our experience been better that they're being more cautious or with the use?
Our usage rate is down.
It is, and we're still waiting on numbers because when we had the renewal, it was based off of a shortened period of time because of the change. And the renewal was at 4%, which was fantastic, but that was worth 6 months data or 9 months data, Dan?
There's a little mix of both. They have 6 month data, but they also have some 9 month data.
Kind of piling into that. So, as we move down the trajectory over 12 months, it's still possible that it's over 100% or 100% as far as our, loss ratio goes. And then that would mean that likely, although we averted any kind of significant increase coming into this year, that may mean an increase in the next year. So it's always a numbers game. From what I understand, historically speaking, and leading up to now, we've been at over 100% or right around that threshold for several years, which is why, the renewal rates are as such. And with a self-insurance approach, clearly, you're still going to pay those dollars, one would presume, but are you going to pay them in terms of, liability for a handful of high-cost employees, or are you paying the dollars for absolutely everybody? With the traditional insurance model, the dollars you're paying are for people that are using the program and those that are not using the program. I mean, everybody pays, everybody has a premium. And so part of that, Rob, was to do the cost-benefit analysis, is to say, if we went self-insured and it was $100,000, catastrophic protection, you do a cost-benefit analysis to determine, do we have enough employees not incurring up to $100,000 to even make it worthwhile to make that switch? And so that's like phase one to answer the question of, is self-insurance and even a rational approach for our district based on loss ratios and utilization and all these other pieces. And then there's a huge piece of employee education and engagement. There's a ton of moving parts that you can kind of kick at and move around, and levers you can pull, as the insurance people like to say, to get desired results. But as you say, I think it makes sense just to simply look at it and put on the table the slate of options. And the other piece that I would mention is that with reference to staff members, I'm pretty confident in saying one of the things we could do is look at options for folks. So excuse me, I think of myself in these circumstances just because I have a family, 3 kids, and so forth, but not a significant user of healthcare. And so if I had the option at a plan that costs me less personally, but maybe isn't as good a coverage, for example, maybe I want that option. But it'd be nice to have that choice. Right now we're basically all in the same pot. We're all in a standard approach to insurance and with the backfill and the HSA, and that's great. But sustainability over time, the numbers are telling us, and the market is telling us that that's probably not going to stay favorable for a ton longer. Plus, we are in a circumstance where we do pay more than most other schools in the valley.
Do we have, I'm sure we'll find out very easily, but percentage of retirees' cost versus current employees' cost? Because one thing I'm aware of is that a number of businesses are stepping away with their retirees. They payment in lieu of full reimbursement. So basically, when you retire, rather than having you on the district plan, you're given X amount of dollars to go out into the marketplace to buy your own insurance. So that takes the risk away from the district. I mean, it kind of puts more onto the retired employee. Depends on what they can find in the market. I've heard that there's some affordable plans out there, but I've never actually shopped for it, so I'm not sure about that. Folks I know that have retired said they were kind of pleasantly surprised. Depending on
numbers on that, I would say almost 2 years. The last time we got numbers was when we were still with WEA, and they actually showed pretty good. The loss ratio was pretty good. Actually, the loss ratio was lower than our active employees, which was a contributing factor to not looking to make the types of changes you're talking about. The other thing I would just briefly comment on along those same lines, John, is we had another broker group come in to speak to a group of teachers that were studying this topic regarding what coverage options are out there in the central Wisconsin area for retirees if we went that route. Let's say that we made a change and retirees were no longer on our plan but had to go out and get their own plan. And it was very clear from what the analysis that they did that what we're offering our retirees is far and away a much better option, much more cost effective, and much better coverage than they could get on their own if they had to right now.
Sure, that's true. But part of the problem too is I think our local cost structure is higher than other areas. So, I mean, this is where we live, this is where we work, this is where we doctor, and so we pay those higher fees. And it is hard to be a consumer because you go out and you look on the thing and say, okay, I'm going to have this procedure done, and it's 60% cost to go to Stevens Point. But generally, we don't shop for and test the way we shop for a car or shop for an appliance. We just go to the local provider and trust in that. So, does that give you enough? I think
Absolutely.
I definitely agree with that. I appreciate it.
And I know we do have an insurance committee that we haven't really met because we haven't been involved, but if that's something that you'd like to revisit, the teachers' leadership, and I think we had leadership from administration, we had leadership from custodial. Certainly be willing to revisit that if that's helpful.
I think it makes all kinds of sense once we have our act together to say, what do you think of these options? Rather than kind of mucking through all of it together because it's confusing. And like I said, you can do any number of combinations. So if we get some kind of idea of what direction or options we may want to entertain, having that before a committee or a group of staff members makes all kinds of sense regarding what they're interested in. Is this a better benefit? Is it not so good benefit? A lot of questions that I may not know the answer to or other members of the administrative team. So absolutely.
I mean, the goal is always to keep insurance costs as low as possible in this country.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm guessing there'll be more to come on that.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And looking at the calendar, Wednesday the 11th, there's the parent community member listening session on school safety. I believe that's over at the back.
Yes, it is.
And then we also have a meeting on the 23rd, which is our reorganization. It's at 5:30. And we